Hey guys, Sean here. I thought I'd create this little video to show you the game of Battleships. It's quite a nice little game that you find in the Evening Standard paper and probably can find it online as well in other places. But what you end up doing is you've got this grid here which is empty except for the starting ships places. So if you see here on the right hand side you've got the fleet. These are the ships that you want to find in this grid, and obviously as you see these ships fill these squares, so you got to use your logic, your puzzle solving, your deductions to try and find out where these ships are found in this grid. So and obviously you have them, they fill in the squares, so you've got your submarines just here. You've got your destroyers, which are two filled in grids, little squares. And you've got your cruisers, which fill in 3 squares. And when you look at this puzzle, you can see you've got numbers down the side, horizontally and vertically. And basically, you know how many of the ship's pieces fall into this particular row or particular column. So for example, you can tell there are 2 here in this row, but you also know these little blue squares here, these mean they're empty, they're C, so you can basically stroke them out straight away or discount them. And then in this one, you know there's 1 and there's 1 here and that's just 2. So you can kind of work that one out very easily, but we'll get into it once we start. And then so on, you've got 2, 1, 3, etc., blah, blah, blah. And then at the bottom, you've got the ones that go up. And basically, you've just got to use your powers and your logic in order to work out where all the ships are. And obviously, you're looking for this many ships, 1 battleship, 2 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and 4 submarines. And then the way you know you've completed it is when you check down the sides and up the line, you know that you fit all the ships in and everything's completed. So it's nice. It's quite an interesting game, quite simple rules, but can be tricky. So, right, I think it's a good time to get into it and give it a go. So if I get this started, I'll leave a little timer there, so you can see how long it takes. Now, let's get started. First thing I'd like to do is I know this one at the top is definitely a 2 because it's a side. It's the end of a ship and there's only 1 grid ahead of it. So we can definitely fill that straight in. So that strokes off our first ship. And what you can do as well, no ships can touch each other. Horizontally, vertically or diagonally. So basically what I like to do is I like to X around the sides. So we just fill all that in. And we know that's that done. And we can discount this sort of square. We know this goes down. And what I like to do at this point here, because I don't know if that's a 2 or a 3, because you can see down here it says 3, so it could be 3, but it could be a 2. So what I like to do is then just X off around it, so get rid of its immediate sides, but also go 2 down. And the reason why I do that is because I know it doesn't matter if it's a 2 or a 3, you will not be able to put anything in these 2 squares. You may fill this up and then it will close that off, but you may only put 2 there and then you just close that one off. But it can help you in certain cases. We can see this one down here. This is obviously the end again of a destroyer because there's only 2 in that grid. So we can easily fill that one off too. So that's good. Let's get rid of that destroyer. And we get rid of the squares around it. Now, what we could do is also get rid of a line because we've got 2 in there, it's filled. So we can get rid of this. Same goes to this one, because we've got 2 in this column. So we get rid of that. We've got 1 here as well, that's handy, it's good to know. So we can get rid of this. Just get rid of these rows and these columns that we can discount, and it narrows down the amount of ships that we can have. Same here for 1. Now this square here is a center square of a ship. It can either be a 3 or a 4, a battleship or a cruiser. We know because we've discounted this row below, that is definitely going this way, because you can't go up and down because this one's already been discounted. We can discount the squares above it in the same way, going 2 off to the side in each direction, because we're not going to be able to fit anything there. And if you look down the numbers, you can see on both up and down, there's no one bigger than a 4 or another 4. So actually we know straight away this is a battleship, but we just don't know where the battleship starts, because it could either start here and then fill these 4. We could start here and fill these 4, and then you can discount off to the sides. So that's something we're going to have to work out, but we'll get there in time. Let's just keep going, filling these squares. Right, now let's just look to see if there's anything else we can get rid of. We can see that we haven't filled many 3s in. So we've got our 4 battleship where we know that is. We know that's G row. So we can put that there. And if you think about it, we can only really, because of the numbers again, looking at these numbers, we only really have 2 places 3s can go. So we can have a 3 in this row here, which is row C, so we know that's in row C, and if we're looking around, everything else is 2s, so we can know for a fact that this is a 3 because there's nowhere else for a 3 to go. We've got 1 in row C and now 1 in row 9, column 9, so let's just fill that one in. Okay. We do that, get rid of that. We can also get rid of some destroyers. So we found 2 destroyers, we'll give them 1 submarine. Now looking at that, we can get rid of this row. We can get rid of this row as well. Now what we know is we're going to need a submarine up here, because that's an A. There's only space for 1, we've got 2. So we need a submarine up there, and there's also no way that it can cross out of that area. So we know we have a submarine up there to look for. And as we already know, we've got a cruiser to look for here. And it can really only go side to side. So we can discount that out, and we're looking for another submarine in D, so you can stick I just like to stick a letter there sometimes when it's a bit tricky. Now we need the battleship, and down here we're probably going to be looking for a destroyer in this row here because we can fit 2 in. We can only have a 1 on top. So what we're probably looking for is we have a destroyer in row J, and we're looking for a submarine in row I would say. So we've got to try and fit this in so it fits the whole, everything fits together. So what I would like to do at this point is I use dots to simplify where I think ships could be. So fact is, I think here we're looking for 2, but it can only be, there's got to be 2 units in here, but it can only be split. So let's say this is indeed where my 4 is. So we're going to just say that that's my 4. It fits off into that corner. So we're now looking, let's say we have the 2 down here, because what that will make will be 2 and 2 across. So let's say we have, for example, 2 down there. And what we're looking for down here is a 2, 1, 2, which also fills in. So we remember we should look at how the cruiser fits in as well, because we've got a 3 and we don't want it overlapping. So really, if this is to work, this would be the 3, just there. So now we would have 3 there, we would have the 2 down there, so that would complete that row. Now we're looking for I think we know for a fact that this 3 is up here, because if you see here, we're going to have a 4. This is definitely going to be filled in, as is that, is whether we fill the ones on the end. If you see that, that means that this is then a 2. So we can definitely discount this line. So if we get rid of this, if we get rid of that line, we know for a fact that to fit a 3 in there, it has to be this corner. So let's just fill that in. We know this is a 3. So we can get rid of that cruiser. Now we've just got to fit all the others in around it. We can get rid of this row. These squares. Perhaps we're going to have a 1 up here that will knock out this row. We can get rid of this. We're really narrowing down the options of where these ships could go. So now what's tricky here is I need to fit a 1 in here to complete that and make that 2. But it can't be the way I've laid out here, because of these ones. So we know for a fact that that one is filled. We know that's filled. So I think logically thinking through here. And then it wasn't there, but it was here. What if we push this one along? So in fact, that wasn't there. We have that, so we have 1 and 2. We have 2 up there. Then there's 2 there. Our 2 up here. We have our 2 there, and then we're looking at just the 1 over here. So let's see if we think this is the solution. So we've got 1, 2, we've got our 1, got a 1, 2, got a 1, 2, we've got a 2. We've got our 1, 2, got our 1, 2, got our 2, got our 3, we've got our 2, and then going across we've got our 1, 2, we've got our 1, 2, 1, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 1, we've got 2, and we've got 2 there, we've got our 3 there, and our 1 is here. And then we've got our 2 just there. So if I just fill all that in, I'm happy with that, looks good to me. Just fill this in. Two down there. Do all the little final X's because I like it nice and clean, everything looking good. So get rid of that, stick that one there. Okay, that was 16:28 when I had a look, I'd finished it. 16:33 when I'd stopped it. Anyway, that was a good, tough one. So as you see here, I found my battleship, found my 2 cruisers, I found my 3 destroyers, and my 4 submarines. And that was a successful game of Battleships. So, you know, that was a good tough challenge, nice through the brain, kind of gets you away from screens and things, so it's a nice thing to do. It's in any edition of the Evening Standard, which is a nice newspaper you can find from any tube station in London, and I'm sure if you look up online you might find this game as well on the standards. website, because they have a good website with games and stuff. And I hope when you see it too, you might pick it up and give it a go. And yeah, it works on your logic solving, your puzzle solving, just generally, gives you something interesting to do. And I hope you find that this is useful, and if you see this in another newspaper, you might also give it a go. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.